going to show you what you can do with a Stamparatus. Now, I'm not going to show you everything that you can do with a Stamparatus tonight. I am going to specifically talk about a couple of different things, but I will be doing a video after this one that I'll probably put up online tomorrow showing you another really great feature of the Stamparatus. So be sure to check back in tomorrow and catch that. So I posted 2 different cards in preparation for tonight, and these both use the hinge technique. So the hinge technique basically gets you some repeat stamping. So I've noticed how nicely aligned these happies are. They're all in a straight line going down. There's a nice distance between them all. Same thing with these bottles from Bottled Happiness. They are spaced nicely together, and they're corks. And the only difference between these guys is that this one is done in different colors. This one I've just used one color of ink. This is monochromatic. So I think I'm going to show you how to kind of get this one going, but I'm really creating this card. So I've got all the supplies out for this particular card, but I've only got the white piece out for here. But let me show you how it's done. Here's Bottled Happiness. So the one thing you need to know about using the hinge technique is you have to choose an image that is no bigger than 1 inch wide. Or I guess you could use 2 inches wide, but you'd have to just use every other hinge, every other step. So these pop out, they really do. And then you can just step it down here. So that's 1 step, and a step is 1 inch. You can kind of tell that from the grid paper. So if you have an image that's, say, 2 inches wide or 1.5 inches wide, and you want to space them out evenly, you would have to, you'd have to skip one. Now, I just got this new, I actually have 2 sets of plates because the other one was, I don't know, it just wasn't pretty. And I thought I'd get a clean one out. The reason why I have so many is because if I use a Stamparatus at a class, I want to be able to have stamps mounted and just have those interchangeable. Now you can flip these around, so you really have 2 sides on each plate with which to adhere stamps. So I'm going to just keep this in here. I've got 2 plates, but I'm only going to be using 1. Now, because I am, let's see, because I'm using the bottle and I'm going to go this way, I'm going to put my piece of basic white cardstock down, and I want to be moving my image this way. So I want to use the plate that moves that way, which is this plate right here. This plate shifts up and down. You can see this one's a little bit looser because I've used it a lot more. It's easier to go in and out. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to get my Bottled Happiness thing out. Now, this is really best. You can use it with both kinds of stamp, the red rubber or the photopolymer. It is really great with the photopolymer because you can really see where you're going. So let me just show you this. If I were to align this, and I just need to get it started. So you just take the time to make sure everything is kind of squared up. Your paper is up in the corner. This is aligned along some lines so that you know it's straight. And maybe that's where I want my bottle. Maybe I want it over just a little bit because I don't want too much space to the edge. So I think I've got that pretty straight. I'm going to take one of my magnets, and I'll have to move this in a little bit. But I want to put one magnet there. I'll put one magnet up here. That's going to hold down my paper. If I want to come down here, I can do that. I've got my stamp placed where I want it. When I close this, it will pick it up. Now, my paper moved just a little bit, and it does that the first time because there's no ink on this. So that's where I want it. Everything's still straight. And now I just need to ink up the colors. So I have my beautiful in colors from this year out. I need to move this down a little bit. My phone holder is in the way a little bit. I'm going to ink that up. My phone holder is still in the way. So I'm going to fold this over, press. Now some people, if you have arthritis, you might want to get something like this that you can use to press down. And we've got that stamp right there. Now because I'm changing colors, I'm going to need to wash this one off a little bit so my colors don't mix. So I'm just taking my little chamois here, and I've cut this in half. It normally is twice as big, but I cut that in half because I think it's easier to use with the Stamparatus when it's smaller. And I'm going to repeat this. I ink, and then I move my piece. So I've just moved it over, and I come here, and there we go. We've got nice placement right there. And we're just going to keep doing this. I can probably move this down a little bit before I have to move it totally. Clean my stamp again. Now, photopolymer, you can't see where you're stamping, so you might think, oh, well, I can just, eyeball that. Yes, you can absolutely eyeball that, but it will be very hard to be as precise and stamp quickly as you can be with the Stamparatus. Now, you can see, I think, that I got ink over here. It's not going to go on my paper. Oop, I need to step it, don't I? It's not going to go on my paper, but if you are worried about it, you can go ahead and remove that with your chamois first. But see, you can see that it didn't. Now, my ink pad, my Tahitian Tide ink pad is very, very juicy. I should have taken a spoon and moved that out of the way a little bit. If I want to fix that modeling a little bit, I can maybe try to stamp it again and see if that'll even it out a bit. And this is one of the nice things about a Stamparatus is if something doesn't ink right, you can do it again. And see, now that looks much better, doesn't it? Oh, look, I just changed the color of my light. No wonder it wasn't working right. It was, I think, on a warmer setting. So now I'm just going to clean this again. Now I don't have my iPad set up, so some of you may be asking questions. I will try to look in just a minute, but sorry, I didn't set up my iPad. I was camping earlier and I missed it. So I'm gonna come down here, same thing. All right, so you can see that the spacing is really great there. And then I'm just gonna have to move this one over in order to get my sweet sorbet in there. We'll just clean it again. Cleans up very easily with a chamois. I love my chamois. All right, and we'll just come down here. And there we go. And so I have all my bottles there. And if I want to do my cork is a little bit easier because I don't have to change colors. All my corks are the same. And last year we had an in color that left, and it was cinnamon cider. And I thought that was a perfect cork color. So even though it's not a current color, I mean, you can use something, a color that's not quite so nice as maybe crumb cake, or if you want to go really a warm tone, you could go Cajun Craze. But I'm going to use my cinnamon cider because I think it works better. And I can go backwards. I can start over here and then inch my way backwards. And notice, so the part that stamps is going to go down along here. I'm going to position it the way I want it. Close it to then pick it up. then we're going to come back in here and I'm going to add my cork. And then I can move over and ink it up again. There's my cork. And so it's the same positioning each time because that is the beauty of the Stamparatus. I think I can actually get this stamped without moving my magnets. And so one last time. This one might be tough. I'm going to go ahead and slide this down here. And there we go. Now, one thing I just noticed, so I had some cinnamon cider where it didn't belong. I can clean that off. In fact, I'll clean the whole stamp off so I can put it away. But I noticed that some got on my magnets, so I want to be very careful. So even though it won't get on your paper, the magnets have a thickness, so you want to pay attention to that. And if you get something on the magnet, just go ahead and clean it off before you try to move it, because otherwise you're going to have ink on your hands. So again, I want to keep my magnets pretty far away from each other, so I usually just put one on my right and one on my left. And there are my bottles, and you can see I just finished this by layering it on a piece of basic black that was 1/8 of an inch wider. I actually used my watercolor pencils to kind of draw in a table. I put a piece of cardstock here so I had a straight line, and I just kind of scribbled in between the bottles with a watercolor pencil and then used a blender pen to kind of smooth it out a bit. I embossed this "Let's Get Into the Spirit," which is a saying from the Bottled Happiness set, onto basic black and cut that out and put that as a strip overneath. This Tahitian tied background has been embossed with the Brick Wall embossing folder. So just a fun little card. And that's that one. Now let me show you the other one, start to finish. Because I'm going to be moving my my happies down, I want to use the plate on this side. Now obviously I could use it on this side too. I would just have to be working sideways. That doesn't work for me. So I can actually get this plate out of the way. I don't need it. So I can get it out of the way so I don't end up making a mistake where I don't want one. I'm going to be using the Biggest Wish, and this set is perfect for this hinge technique. It's got thanks or happy, hello, friend, birthday. You can use lots of sentiments here, and you can mix and match. And you can see I chose the happy, and I used that in the Fresh Freesia, which is an in color from last year. Well, it's also this year too, but it'll be retiring at the end of this year. And then I chose the birthday to be done in Memento Black. And I added a couple of gems. But let's see how really easy this is to do. I'm going to get the happy out. And I've already got my cardstock cut. And again, this will be on my website, so you will know what the measurements are. I'm going to put my cardstock on here so it's lined up with I can barely see this edge right here on that mark, and I've got it across the top, so it's pretty even. I'm going to put my happy stamp side down, so this is the part that would normally go against a block. It's going to go against my Stamparatus. I want the happy totally on the cardstock, but I want to start it off. I think that's straight. My camera's in the way, so I can't quite tell. I'm going to put my magnets on here, and especially just to start, before I pick this up, I'm going to put it over closer here so that it really holds this down so my paper doesn't shift, because the photopolymer tends to want to stick to that white piece of paper. So I know it moved a little bit, so I'm going to just put that back. And that's why I pay attention to where it is to begin with, just to make sure we've got everything lined up. And I'm just going to, whoops, put this back here straight where it was. Some people make marks. I just try to remember. Doesn't always work for me. You know, 56, how old am I? Not 56 yet. I'm old enough to not know how old I am, apparently. So, gonna close this, press down. We've got a happy. Gonna step it down. And again, this happy is 1 inch wide. And so it works perfectly with this. Now, I don't know if you could tell, but on the other sample, this third one is darker than all the others. I'm not sure how much it picks up on camera, but I can achieve that by just re-inking it in the same spot over and over and over again. So that's 2 times, and you can already see that's a little bit darker. That's 3 times, and look at how easy this is. My image is not blurring at all, it's staying the same. There we go. See how much darker it is now? And I'm going to continue on, and I'm going to make just the regular happies one at a time. All right, I'm going to just see if I can see any comments. Oops, sorry, I know I'm moving my camera. My phone's not playing nicely, so it's not giving me any. Oh, there we go. Does it require a foam mat with photopolymer stamps? Yes. The foam mat comes with it though, Lori. That's what that black piece is underneath this piece. But the black foam mat comes with the Stamparatus. And one more time. There, we've got that happy. So now I'm done. Some people, in order to ink this side up, let me show you what they do, is they will put a stamp pad underneath. It just kind of makes it a little bit more solid. It's because the stamp pad is almost the same height as when this is open. This part is when it's open. So some people put that underneath there to just make it a little bit sturdier to start with. So I'm done with that color. I'm going to clean up my Stamparatus. And I don't have anything on my magnets, so that's good. I'm just going to put my stamp away and get out the next stamp. So put my happy away and get out birthday. I can use my Stamparatus at this point, but you know, it's just one stamp that I'm doing. I'm just going to get out my regular block. Remember, don't have these come close together. Now what I did when I was yesterday when I was coming up with this card, I just decided I'm just going to pick these up. I'll keep one in my closed fist and one like this, but I actually got them a little too close together and they whoop, snapped right together, scared the daylights out of me. So it's really a good idea. Just put a magnet away, get the other one, put that one away, and then you can store it. Now you can store your Stamparatus with one plate in it. You cannot do it with 2 plates in it because it doesn't close. And so if you were to force it to close, you could break it. So if I do that, I turn it around and this hinge kind of hangs off the edge a little bit. And I can just put that away. All right, so let's go ahead and get our tuxedo black out. Ink that up really well. And we're just going to put the birthday in here. So there's my birthday. That looks good. We can clean that in a second. I've taken a piece of basic black cardstock because I just love the way it makes colors pop. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of adhesive here. I'm gonna get my borders uniform, or as uniform as I can. All right. I have a piece of the In Color Designer Series paper, so I just need to cut that down. Get my paper trimmer out here, and I cut that down just 1/4 of an inch smaller than a normal card front. So let's go with 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And we need a thick basic white card base. I took care of that before we started. And I have choices of how I want this on here. You can see on this one I use the floral. I really like this pattern right here though, this kind of a plaid, I guess it is. Gingham, plaid, I don't know what the difference is. I'm going to put this on here. Again, trying to get my edges straight. My glue gives me a little bit of wiggle time. I can pop this one up with dimensionals, or I can just glue it flat. I think I'm going to glue it flat. Put that right on there. And you can keep it just like that, or of course, you can add some bling. So I'm going to take some of my rhinestones here, and let's go ahead and get take your pick tool, and I'll take the little spatula end, and let's go ahead and just add some, you can add some however you want, but you want to form some sort of like triangular piece here. So 3, see, I don't know if this little dot for the eye will work for me or not. Yeah, it does. It keeps things low. If I wanted to go a little bit higher like I did on this one, obviously it's different placement. It really is up to you where you put those and what you think looks best. I'm just going to put this back in here. And so that is our card. We can stamp inside. We can put a piece inside of here. We can cut a strip that is goes down and above. I got a little creative here. I just cut 4 strips and I just kind of put them around the edge. I think if I were to do it again, I would put it completely around the edge. I wouldn't leave that space, but it was just something different I was playing around with. I can see that I have a little smudge right here. That probably, I don't know how that got there. So I might cover it up. I might use my sand eraser and see if I can take it off. But if I can't, which I can't pretty easily, I'll just hide this with this strip. And I can stamp another inside greeting from another set if I want, or just handwrite something. So I'll just glue this down here, cover up that little yucky part, and no one is the wiser except for you guys watching me. And I will just take a pair of scissors. Now if you've been around for a while, like you'll notice like these scissors don't look like the ones you can buy in the catalog, and that's because they're not. This is from way back when we used to actually have to trim our own stamps. They didn't come nicely, you know, perforated around so that you just pop them up and pop them on a stamp. You actually had to trim them, and that was part of the savings. And they were still more expensive than the stamps are now. So I have these left over, and so if that's what I grab, that's what I grab. But there is our piece. You can stamp some more. You could stamp happy along the outside edge of an envelope. That'll work as well. Lots of options. I am going to, what is the yellow hand press called and where do you get it from? This is an air hockey piece. You can get some on Amazon, but you can also, if you just, if you Google this, you can see all sorts of things. As long as you have a flat surface and you can glue on a piece of felt, that will work. But this is really just an air hockey puck that, it's a kid's toy basically. My teammate Sheila gave that one to me. She had ordered a bunch, and so she gave me that one. So thanks for joining me tonight. As I mentioned, I'm going to be doing something else with the Stamparatus. I think it's pretty cool. You're going to really like it. But I'll give you a hint. It's sort of mass producing minded, because that's one of the things that I use my Stamparatus for the most. Like when I come to Christmas and I am doing a lot of cards, a lot of the same cards, because I'm sorry, I don't make a unique card for everyone, and I know some people do, but I just have too many to send. And when you work at a church, that time of year is crazy. Even if I start early, we're always crazy. We're always doing some different events. So I don't have the time to create a unique card for everyone I send to. So when I'm mass producing, I like to get my Stamparatus out because I don't have to put stamps on and off. It's perfect positioning. I can, stamp and go. It's really great for that. But I'm going to show you another technique in a video tomorrow, and it won't be a live video. It'll just be one I post, where it really, you're going to love it. It helps with dies. So when you're trying to die cut, you know how it can be difficult to die cut lots of die cuts at one time, because you have to just very carefully position the die. So I'm going to show you how the Stamparatus helps with that.